Gloria Allred is the attorney for 29 other women accusing Cosby of sexual assault, and she addressed the criminal charges.
So many women who allege that they are victims of Bill Cosby have cried out for justice for so long. In Pennsylvania, there is now a journey to justice in the felony case filed against Mr. Cosby. I'm very happy that this day has finally come. Unfortunately, for most of the women who allege that they are victims of Mr. Cosby, it is too late for their allegations to be the subject of a criminal prosecution or a civil case because of the arbitrary and restrictive time limits set by law. We are working in many states to eliminate the statute of limitations or to lengthen the time limit for criminal prosecution of rape and sexual assault. For many of my 29 clients who allege that they are victims of Bill Cosby, seeing him criminally charged and having to face a trial is the best Christmas present that they have ever received.
Doug Burns is a former federal prosecutor. And Doug, for one thing, you're going into this with a brand new district attorney. He's district attorney-elect Kevin Steele, though he's worked in the DA's office for some time. How does he go about managing this case and trying to prove the charges against Cosby?
It was an interesting dynamic because he said, look, I don't want a Monday morning quarterback what went on before. But remember, what happened was the Associated Press went to court, right, and they won the right to have that deposition testimony made public, you remember, and then everybody was talking about it. And I think on many levels, that's what led to the new prosecution. But you're right, he has a very tough road ahead on this particular case, in my opinion.
And is that because it's difficult to prove? I mean, the victim in this case, Andrea Constant,
right,
her name is out because she has
sued.
She sued Bill Cosby. They had a platonic relationship,
right,
but she says that she never consented to sex.
Let me put it this way. I think there's good news for the defense and really bad news for the defense.
Okay.
The good news is if this were one case in isolation, Andrea Constant alone, then all of the experts' pontifications about he said, she said might apply. However, if the judge lets in what we trial lawyers call prior bad acts, okay, which are other instances, other women, then it's going to be really much, much more difficult for the defense. Think about that. The judge allows into evidence that somebody else complained and somebody else, albeit with an instruction, Contessa. That doesn't prove he did this, but we're giving you context. That's going to be tough.
Bruce Castor, who was the district attorney at the time that Andrea Constant came forward and said, Bill Cosby did this to me, declined to prosecute, declined to press charges, in part because he said there was no other corroborating evidence.
Right.
And instead, what happened was we saw this political campaign for district attorney where for Kevin Steele, who's the district attorney-elect, said, you weren't looking out for the victims. You knew there were 13 other victims with similar stories, and you still decided not to prosecute.
Well, let me say this as a trial lawyer. A, you're 100% right, which is other factors, political calculus. But then if you go into evidence and courtroom mode, you say, look, we've got to judge this case on the merits and on the facts. But you're right. But again, not to be a broken record, in my opinion, standing alone, it might be a tough case with what everybody's hearing. And by the way, not to be cynical, jurors, you think jurors coming into that building don't know that 45 women have said that there's a problem? No, think about that.
The incredible thing, too, is that in this particular county, the potential jury pool heard campaign ad after campaign ad from these two men where Bill Cosby was the focus, and they decided, I mean, Kevin Steele was basically running on Bill Cosby in order to get elected. He did get elected, which means the people in this county won him as their district attorney, and he made it clear he would go after
That's a great point,
Bill
and you know what?
Cosby.
The defense might ostensibly try to make some kind of change of venue motion on the grounds of undue publicity, but what I say every time in a case like that is, what are you kidding me? It's national publicity. It's not to that venue.
Could Bill
But
Cosby,
they might try to move it. Yeah.
Could Bill Cosby and his attorney ask for a judge trial instead of a jury trial?
That's a great question. In federal court, you need both sides. Okay, I'm not a Pennsylvania lawyer. I'm a New York lawyer. In New York, the defense can ask for that. I would assume that it may be the same in Pennsylvania, but I can't say definitively. Assume that it is, though.
Would there be an advantage for Bill Cosby to have the judge I mean, after all, in this case, and maybe this is normal for judges to do, but in this case, the judge said to Bill Cosby, good luck to you, sir.
When I was a prosecutor, I always felt, and I would say to supervisors and others in the front office, why wouldn't you agree to waive a jury? You're trying to fool a jury? I mean, my God. But could it help him? interesting reversal I'm going to give you, which is that the celebrity dynamic is still in play in the rafters, okay? Robert Blake, O.J. Simpson, Robert Durst in Texas, okay? So I think that they might not, but it's a very good point, and it's something that if they're watching you, they should consider that.
All right, Doug Burns, thank you so much for joining us.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.